Hello everyone, am I audible to all of you? If I am, please confirm with a chat. Shall we start? I think we are live now, so we will start. Fine. So in the previous lecture, there had been two lectures. First one was the orientation lecture and the second one was on sources and Stone Age. So today we'll be doing lecture 2 rather, because first was like the orientation session. The actual lecture was the Saturday's lecture, which was on sources and Stone Age. So today we have to talk about Chalcolithic and IVC. People who have not seen the previous two videos, the orientation one and the lecture 1 videos, or the live streams rather, you can have a look at them. You can go, and in fact currently you can attend this lecture. Every lecture is standalone, so it's not like there is a prerequisite that if you're watching lecture 2 you should have or you must have watched the earlier lectures. You can watch it standalone, but after this particular live lecture is done or live streaming is done, you can go back and always watch the previous videos. That will give you a feeling of closure, and closure is important in everything we do, right? So let's not waste any time and let's start this session. This particular session will be a bigger session. Why it will be a bigger session? Because we are dealing with IVC, Indus Valley Civilization, and we are also dealing with one contemporary culture which coexisted with IVC, which is known as Chalcolithic culture. So before we do all these things, before we talk about all these things, just give me a second. So before we talk about all these cultures, we have to understand the chronology, as our Honorable Home Minister Amit Shah sir says. So you have to understand the chronology. We are currently in ancient India art and culture. So at least we should know the chronology of ancient India art and culture. So let's talk about the chronology first. If you watch the orientation video, which we have done earlier, so we have talked about that ancient India. If you talk about ancient India per se, so ancient India starts from timeline we must know. Currently we are in ancient India art and culture, so we'll talk about ancient India. So ancient India is Stone Age to 750 AD. In the first lecture, we have talked about Stone Age to 750 AD. And again, there has to be a reference frame. If we are talking about that stone or ancient India is from Stone Age to 750 AD, just give me a second. So what is the reference frame which we are using here? Stone Age to 750 AD. So the reference frame or the book which we have referred to when we are talking about this particular time period is Upinder Singh's Ancient and Early Medieval India. Who is Upinder Singh? We have talked about it earlier. Again, go back to previous lecture if you have not. So she is Manmohan Singh's daughter, our former PM Manmohan Singh's daughter, Upinder Singh, very famous Delhi University professor. So Upinder Singh's Ancient and Early Medieval India book. This is the reference frame. Very, very awesome book. Ancient and Early Medieval India book. Cool. So Stone Age to 750 is the time period or the timeline of ancient India, but that is not all. We have to go beyond it. Let's say we have talked about Stone Age in the previous lecture. Stone Age we have talked about, and when we're talking about Stone Age, so we have talked about the Neolithic period, let's say Paleolithic period. Anything before 10,000 BCE is Paleolithic period. Mesolithic period 10,000 BCE to 6,000 BCE, and that date is not constant. That varies according to different like archaeologists, etc. But that is an approximate date. And 6,000, 7,000 BCE, it is believed that Neolithic period arrived. Agriculture, beginning of agriculture, that happened. So Stone Age we have done in the previous lecture, and you can say that Stone Age ended around, let's say Neolithic period started from 6,000, 7,000 BCE. Fine, then what happened? Stone Age, then we have to talk about something known as Chalcolithic culture. Now here, when we talk about Chalcolithic culture, I will show you a meme, because meme helps us to remember things in a better manner. See, when you read about Chalcolithic period, when you read about Chalcolithic culture, you get confused, and there are very few sources. When we talk about Indus Valley Civilization, we have multiple sources from where you can read about Indus Valley Civilization. There also I will tell you certain areas where not many books touch those areas. So what we are talking about is Chalcolithic period. Very few sources are there which talks about Chalcolithic period. But once this particular lecture is over, you will have crystal clear knowledge about Chalcolithic culture. But there will remain one confusion even when this class is done. The confusion is about the timeline, because there is no fixed timeline specified by, like, it's not like all the historians have agreed on a fixed date of Chalcolithic period. First of all, why it is called Chalcolithic? Because they are using something known as copper. That's why they are called as Chalcolithic. And you will see the present Rajasthan area, Maharashtra area, there existed some Chalcolithic cultures. So that's why they are known as Chalcolithic culture. They used copper. And in the previous lectures also, we have talked about the chronology of metals. Like if you have to remember the chronology, which metal came first, then which metal came. So the chronology is CBI. There also, you have to remember the chronology. So chronology of metals, there is a meme associated to it. We are not saying anything against CBI or ED or IT. What this particular meme is like in reference to is so that we can remember the chronology of metals. You have to focus here on this particular word, CBI. Just remember CBI, copper came first, then bronze, and the last one is iron. Copper, bronze, iron. That you have to remember. CBI, copper, bronze, iron. Cool. Now, what we are trying to understand is, CBI, just remember this, bronze is an alloy of copper. So when you are reading bronze, also read brass at the same time. So here, what is happening? History and science and tech, they are merging. Because they can ask you, this is an alloy of this and this, whatever. Generally, UPSC doesn't go in that area where they ask the alloy per se. But again, we never know. You never know. Or you cannot tell. So we should be knowing that brass is an alloy of what? So copper is there in both. Copper plus. Bronze is copper plus. But what after copper? So there is a simple mnemonic or cheat code for this also. So see, BR is same here. Here you have A, here you have O. Fine. So here A is the first letter of the English alphabet series. So just write here the last letter, that is Z. So copper plus zinc. And the other one is copper plus tin. I will tell you what happened. Generally, we are confused about, this is tin. Copper plus tin. So generally we are confused in zinc and tin. We do the reverse thing. Sometimes we write like brass as copper plus tin. No. Brass, A first letter. So brass is copper plus zinc. Bronze is copper plus tin. Just remember this. It will help you. This particular slide is to remember or make you remember that the chronology of metal is CBI, copper, bronze, iron. Let's go back. Let's go back to the chronology of ancient India. We have to understand this chronology. So why we are stuck at this particular slide? Because Chalcolithic timeline, nobody knows for sure. There are different books which talks about anything from 3500 BC to 900 BC lying in the Chalcolithic period. But whatever the dates, like some books will say 22,000 BC, so 900 BC, some will say 2600 or something like that. But again, if you go Chalcolithic period timeline, it's very confusing. It's confusing, so it's confusing for all. UPSC is not going to ask you the exact timeline. What UPSC is going to ask you, I will show you. One thing you can say for sure, that when we talk about Indus Valley civilization, their mature phase, that exists from 2600 to 1900 BC. So there has to be some time period or some Chalcolithic culture which are coexisting with Indus Valley civilization. That part you have to understand. And again, once we are done with this lecture, you will understand what I am talking about. So let's go back to the chronology part. So we are talking about Stone Age, Chalcolithic culture. Fine. Stone Age, then Chalcolithic culture, then Indus Valley civilization. Their mature phase is 2600 to 1900 BC. Okay. So Stone Age, Chalcolithic culture, please understand this chronology. This is very, very important. Then what? Let me make the whole chronology here only. Fine. So Stone Age, Chalcolithic culture, Indus Valley civilization, and then after a lag of around 400 years, you have something known as Vedic period. So let's say if I go from here, just a second. If I go from here to here, so Vedic period. Vedic period. And that will be from 1500 to 600 BC, Vedic period. And here also Vedic period will be divided into two parts, early Vedic period and later Vedic period. Fine. So when we are done with this Vedic period, we'll enter the period of Mahajanpadas. Mahajanpadas, which is 6th century BC. That period is Mahajanpadas. You will read about Mahajanpadas. That will continue, and then the important period which you have to understand or which you have to remember is the Mauryan period. Mauryan period. And again, dates are somewhat hazy. Somewhere it will be written that Mauryan period started from 324 to 187. Somewhere it will be written 322 to 185. Somewhere it will be written 321 to 180 5 or something BC. So don't worry about it. This is the rough figure of Mauryan dynasty, 324 to 187 BC. And after this will come post-Mauryan period. Post-Mauryan period. Yesterday when we were talking about Mehergarh, so we have talked about Mehergarh, that earliest evidence of cotton and wheat cultivation we found in the Indian subcontinent. I told you that very near to Mehergarh, there was a very famous Harappan site. That was not Nevasa, that's what Nosado. That site was known as Nosado. That was a slip of tongue from my side and I apologize for that. So post-Mauryan period, that will be from 200 BC to 300 AD. So this is post-Mauryan period, and in this particular period, you will read about Shakas, you will read about Kushanas, you will read about Parthians, you will read about Satvahanas, you will read about Sungas, you will read about Kanvas. So this is post-Mauryan period. And then what will happen? Gupta period will happen. Gupta period. So let me just demarcate it like this so that you don't get confused. So Gupta period, the date is around 318 AD to 550 AD. Don't worry too much about the dates. Some historians also say that the date is 320 AD to 550 AD. So this is Gupta period. And the starting year of Gupta period, that I think also we have discussed in the orientation session, the starting year 318 AD or be it be 320 AD, that has been given by Al-Baruni in his book Kitabul Hind or Tahqiq-e-Hind. In fact, when you read about early medieval India, which will be from 750 to 1200 AD, there are two major sources which we refer to when we talk about early medieval India. And that two major sources, or those two major sources are, first is Al-Baruni's Kitabul Hind and the second one is Kalhan's Raj Tarangini, in which he talks about the history of Kashmir. So remember these books, these two books, especially for early medieval India. Fine. So let's continue. And if you have any doubt, if you want to ask anything, you can post it in the chat section if you want to, if you are having any queries related to this. So Gupta period, 550 AD, they will end, and then after a brief lag, there will be Harsha. Harsha will come, 606 to 647 AD. He is very prominent ruler, or the he was from Vardhana dynasty or Pushyabhuti dynasty, and after his period, whenever it ends, then what will happen? The decline will start and there will be too much fragmentation, and after 100 years, the ancient India will end and early medieval India will start. And why this early medieval India starts, why it is called early medieval India, then we'll talk about something like colonial historians. They talk about this particular period as Dark Age. So what is the concept of Dark Age? We have to understand that also. So please keep this chronology in mind, that will help you. We have started from Stone Age, then we went to Chalcolithic culture, then to IVC, then to Vedic period, then to Mahajanpadas, then to Mauryan period, then to post-Mauryan period, then to Gupta period, then to Harsha, and after Harsha's death or whenever his reign end in 647 AD, almost 100 years after, the ancient India will end. Fine. So now you have an idea about chronology. Let's move on to the next part. So Chalcolithic period, we have just discussed that there are too much debate going on regarding the date of Chalcolithic period. When did Chalcolithic period start? When does it end? So we'll not go into the date. What you have to understand is whatever rough data you have about these Chalcolithic cultures, focus here, because they have directly asked you where they are located, what these cultures are known for, Jodhpura Ganeshwar culture, and then Ahar Banas, Kaitha culture. So you have to remember these are Chalcolithic culture located in the present day Rajasthan and Maharashtra. And some of these cultures coexisted. They coexisted with IVC. And that's why even in Chalcolithic, when we are reading about Chalcolithic cultures, we are reading them by taking a map of IVC. Because some of these cultures coexisted with IVC, but there are differences. Like these IVC sites, they belong to urban civilization, whereas these Chalcolithic cultures, they are rural in nature. So in a way, you can take it like this. Like let's say you're living in Gurugram. Gurugram is an urban area. The adjacent villages which are located like adjacent to Gurugram, they are Chalcolithic culture. Your Gurugram is IVC. That way you can also understand it. Fine. So please understand the basic differences. So this is a rural civilization. This is an urban civilization in this valley. They both coexist. Some of these cultures coexisted, and some of these cultures even existed after the decline of IVC. What else is the difference? Like when we talk about And again, you can differentiate like this. So rural economy, they are not involved in too much trade, etc., because they have to be self-sufficient. They are still in the way of becoming self-sufficient. They don't have surplus production per se. We have talked about surplus production and why it is a very important or the most important prerequisite for urbanization in the previous lecture. So now this is urban. They are having trade is the major dominant portion here in Harappan civilization, plus they have a written script. They have a written script. But we have not been able to decipher yet. And why Indus Valley civilization is also important from pre-2025 perspective, because Tamil Nadu CM MK Stalin, he has announced $1 million, I guess, money for people who will be able to decipher Indus Valley script. And many people believe that Indus Valley civilization was a Dravidian culture, because in Indus Valley civilization we have found hump, bull symbols on different seals and ceilings, and bull taming is a very famous sport in southern India. So again, all these things are used to justify that Indus Valley civilization was a Dravidian culture. And now Tamil Nadu CM, it's a news which happened in like January 2025 only. So you have to be knowing, like you should be knowing about it. And that's how you connect history with current affairs. Generally what people believe, good evening Priya Swapnil Ghule. Fine. So generally people believe history is predominantly static, but again, there are news which keeps on coming and you have to keep a track of it. So please understand this. Written script, we did not have got any such script related to Chalcolithic culture. The major evidence or the major source via which we are getting information about Chalcolithic culture is their pottery. Fine. So pottery, and I think in the previous lectures also we have talked about the mnemonic related to pottery. Anybody remembers the mnemonic related to pottery? What was the mnemonic which we have talked about? If you have talked about, you can, like, if you remember it, you can post it in the comment section. Let me open the chat thing here also. See, there was a mnemonic which we have remembered for pottery, BOPN. Very good. So B is black and red ware, O is ochre colored pottery, P is painted grey ware, and N is northern black polished ware. I have shampooed my hair today and my hair is here, there and everywhere. Fine. So black and red ware is the earliest pottery which was around 2400 BC. Remember the word around. Always try to use it. You will be safe. Don't say the exact date if you are not sure about it. So ochre colored pottery, it is said that it was used around 2000 to 1000 BC. Fine. Then painted grey ware, that is 1000 to 600 BC. And the last one is N, northern black polished ware, which is from 600 BC to 200 AD. Again, the dates will vary because we are talking about ancient India. It's not like we are talking about Gandhian era where we have most of the sources available. So some book will tell you from 700 BC to 100 AD. That is not important. Dates will always vary according to different sources. But you have to remember the chronology because our Honorable Home Minister Sir says that you have to understand the chronology. So the chronology here is black and red ware, ochre colored, painted grey ware and northern black polished ware. Fine. So please remember this. And if you see this around 2400 BC, both Indus Valley and some of the Chalcolithic culture existed. So black and red ware pottery has been found in Chalcolithic culture in predominance. But Chalcolithic culture existed till like around 700-800 BC in different parts. So even you can find like ochre colored and painted grey ware. But most of the evidences what we are getting is from black and red ware pottery. I will show you something and then we'll move on to other parts. What was that? Okay, CBIED we have done. Huh? So there is a question which we'll talk about. So generally these B, that is black and red ware, which we have talked about. Black and red ware. They used to be made of, or they used to be made via inverted firing technique. Now, what is inverted firing technique? What do you understand by inverted firing technique? Cool. Any idea, anyone, what is inverted firing technique? So generally what happens? So let's say there are certain, you have some paddy husk or whatever, you have some wood and you are burning it. So the flame will go from bottom to top. That's how flame goes, bottom to top. So you're burning certain stuff and the flame will go from bottom to top. This is normal firing technique. Normal firing technique. This is normal firing technique. Then what happens? In inverted firing technique, hope you can see it. Yes, you can see it. So let's say there are some, again, woods, etc. They are kept here. And this particular wood, this particular, whatever they are using, the residual things, biomass, etc. They are burning it in such a way that the flame will go from top to bottom rather than going from bottom to top. Same way, when they are making the pottery, this is inverted firing technique, when flames, instead of going from bottom to top in their normal direction, they start going from top to bottom. Even if you go to village areas these days also, they also know how to do it. So what they will do, they will fire clay in such a way that the flame, instead of going from bottom to top, they will go from top to bottom. That is known as inverted firing technique. They can tell you, like they can ask you that black and red ware is made by inverted firing technique, true or false? You will say true. That's why I'm telling you all these things. So you should be knowing about this. Just a second. Fine. So inverted firing technique, hope you understood it. What is top to bottom, bottom to top, and black and red ware is generally made using inverted firing technique. So we have talked about some pottery. Pottery is one of the most hated area of history. Most of the teachers do not want to teach it. Students don't want to learn it. You have to remember it. You can use it in pre as well as mains. So we have talked about painted grey ware. I will just show you. Like this is the mnemonic, black and red ware, ochre colored, BOPN. Remember it. You have to remember it. You have to absorb it. You should not be forgetting it, BOPN. And this is the chronology which we have talked about. Again, we'll come back to the question. So black and red ware. One more thing, please understand this. Let's say you are reading A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and you are going till Z. Fine. So you have understood or you have remembered the 26 letters. And then you start reading some small books. Small books you read, small simple books you read. Then you read the bigger books, right? Then you read like some more, like how to talk to anyone, some fiction, non-fiction. So what happens when you read, when you are at stage, let's say this is stage A, this is stage B, this is stage C. So when you are at stage C, it doesn't mean now that you will forget about stage A. 26 letters will be etched in your mind. Similarly, when black and red ware, people are transitioning from black and red ware to ochre color to painted grey ware to northern black polished ware, they're not forgetting the previous kind of pottery. So some of them will coexist. Let's say ochre colored pottery is there. So along with ochre colored pottery, black and red ware will also or can also coexist. Similarly, if you have painted grey ware in some areas, along with painted grey ware, you can also find evidences of ochre colored pottery and black and red ware. And hope you're understanding where I'm going with this. Same with NBPW also. If NBPW is existing, at the same time, the previous three can also coexist, or you may find them in the same area. So again, if I show you the pottery map again, so here if you see this black and red ware, and why I'm focusing on this pottery thing, because nobody else does, or very few people, faculties teach it, but you have to know it, because UPSC is going into unexplored area and there is a very high probability that they can go into this particular area. So black and red ware, you are finding it here. This is the earliest pottery find. Then ochre colored pottery came. So even when you have, let's say, ochre colored pottery came, then painted grey ware. See here, painted grey ware is existing here. At the same time, black and red ware is also existing. So if you are at C level, you will not forget the A level. Just remember this part. Fine. So now we know certain things. What we have discussed about Chalcolithic culture, let's go back to that. And then I will show you and I will teach you something very interesting. So we are here, we are talking about a contemporary culture of Indus Valley civilization, or some of these cultures may have coexisted with Indus Valley civilization, which are Chalcolithic culture. They are named as such because they use copper. Now, one more thing, the evidence which we are getting from is the pottery thing, because we have not found any written records of Chalcolithic culture. So it is archaeological in nature. We have talked about sources in lecture 1, so you can go back and you can read lecture 1 also. So again, pottery, how will you deduce information from pottery? So if they are using perforated jars that has been used to make wine, you have seen perforated jars. I will just show you again. You have to see it. See, this is a perforated jar. If you see this in your neighbor's house, that means they are drinking wine. And drinking wine is a gandhi baat. It's a bad thing. Don't drink. Especially don't drink and drive. So if you are finding perforated jar in a Chalcolithic culture, that means they were making wine. Whether it is good or bad, we are nobody to judge anybody. We are not saints ourselves also, right? So again, similar, different kind of, let's say we have this kind of a pottery And in this pottery, we have found paddy husk inside this pottery. That means they were eating rice. Let's say there is a fish made here. This is not a fish, pardon my bad diagram. So that means they knew fish or they ate fish. That's how people were deducing things. Let's say one kind of pottery is found in another place where it was not made. That means some little amount of trade was also going on. So that's how pottery is giving us information about Chalcolithic culture. But is it enough? No. We need to corroborate it with other sources. What is the best source from which we can know more about Chalcolithic culture? The contemporary Indus Valley civilization. Good evening, Anupali Shai Shivachandra. Good evening. So again, if we are able to decipher, so Tamil Nadu CM MK Stalin, he has announced $1 million prize, and let's say one day we are able to decipher Harappan script, then maybe these Harappan people may have talked about their contemporary Chalcolithic culture, from which we can get more information. So decipherment of this IVC will go a long way in understanding more about Chalcolithic culture also. Hope I am making some sense here. Fine. Now let's move on. Chronology of metals, CBI. Now this is again, in the previous lecture also, lecture 1, I have given you one UPSC history optional question. And again, I have told you that why am I doing this, that I am giving you history optional question in prelims crash course, because they help a lot. They help a lot in giving you a conceptual clarity. Like this is a question which was asked in UPSC history optional. This is a UPSC history optional PYQ. Just read this question. You don't have to solve this question. You have to understand or extract information from prelims perspective. So this is a question, emergence of non-Harappan Chalcolithic culture. Why it is called non-Harappan Chalcolithic culture? Because they are not part of Harappan civilization, but some of them are coexisting with Harappan civilization. The time period of some of these Chalcolithic culture, Ahar, Banas, Kaitha, etc., they are converging. And what they are saying, in central India and Deccan mark a change not only in the subsistence pattern, pay attention to the keywords here or to the different parts here of people, but an overall transition from pre to proto-history. In the previous lecture also, we have talked about what is prehistory, what is proto-history. Why is this difficult to decipher IVC script? Very good. So, there is a question, very good question by Darshana Padmanabhan. Why it is so difficult? Because this is a pictographic script and it's very unlike to all the scripts which we have deciphered up until now, Darshana. So, this is one of the major reasons which is given. Plus, you know, sometimes what happens when James Prinsep deciphered Brahmin Kharosti script. So he had something similar kind of script and he tried to understand it, what they were saying, and via this he deduced it. Ashoka inscriptions were written in different languages, so he could compare and contrast. We don't have anything to compare and contrast IVC script with. Mainly it is pictographic in nature and it's very rare to find pictographic scripts, and also very rare to find pictographic scripts which are similar to IVC. So this is one of the prominent reason why we have not been able to decipher. Plus more speculations are going on. There is one more theory that IVC, the civilization was a civilization belonging to aliens. Maybe they are the ones, because think about it. You can laugh about it, but think about it. We are talking about 2600 BC. We are currently in 21st century. It's almost 4700 years back. And that time the civilization was so advanced. Even the contemporary, we'll talk about so many things. The contemporary Mesopotamian civilization, etc., they were urbanized, but they were not so much planned. Like the planning which has happened in our culture, in this valley civilization, was astonishing to say the least. So again, we can always talk about all these things. So, okay, let's move on. So again, this is a question, history optional question, and here there are different parts of it, and via these parts we'll try to understand or get a clear concept about Chalcolithic culture, because not many people know much about it. So there are two parts we have seen. First, change in subsistence pattern. Second, transition from pre to proto history. And third part is critically analyze. Whenever you see critically analyzing any question, you have to do the criticism. So this is the third part, and that is what is written here. Fine. And via these things we will extract points from pre-perspective. So change in subsistence pattern, how? Because what is happening? We have just discussed Chalcolithic culture. Many people say that from 3500 BC to 900 BC dates are varying, but this is a part of Neolithic culture, because Neolithic culture started from around 6000, 7000 BC. And what happened in Neolithic culture? Agriculture started. Since Chalcolithic culture is also a part of Neolithic culture, so it is a transition. It's showing a change in subsistence pattern. Earlier, people in Paleolithic and Mesolithic period, they were hunter-gatherers, they were nomadic people, but now in Chalcolithic period, people have adopted sedentary lifestyle. They are living in same places. This is change in subsistence pattern. Then you can talk about how change in subsistence pattern happened. We are seeing paddy husk in their black and red ware pottery. We are seeing images of like fishes in their pottery, which shows they were eating fishes. We are seeing like perforated jar, which showed they were making wines. All these are showing a change in subsistence pattern, change in lifestyle. Fine. Then transition from pre to proto history. Here again, go back to the previous lecture, what we have discussed in the previous lecture. So what is the difference between AD, BC and C? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Don't worry about it. We'll discuss all these things. After death, before common era, common era. So again, just understand like 0 AD, BC, they are same, and then from there we go backwards and forward. So no need of doing too much PhD on that, but we will have a discussion on that. So again, let's come back to what we were discussing, but a good question, A. Where we were. Yeah. So we're talking about the criticism part, overall transition, pre to proto history. Go back to the previous lecture, lecture 1. We have talked about prehistory, history before the invention of writing. Proto history, there were different interpretation that IVC, they have a script but not been deciphered yet. Then Chalcolithic culture. Sir, आपका Telegram channel ID बता दीजिए. See, again, there is a question from a student who is asking ki, what is my Telegram ID? I am not on any social media because I think social media takes out a lot of time. I am on LinkedIn, but I will be making a Telegram channel because Rahul sir has asked me to. Like, so yeah. So I'll be sharing that Telegram channel with you very soon. I'm not on Telegram, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on any other like social platform other than LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, you can search and you can find me. So let's come back to what we were discussing, and I will take all the doubts at once after some time. Fine. So what we are discussing here, change in subsistence pattern, transition from pre to proto history, because in proto history there were 3 definitions. One definition was saying that anything from Neolithic to Iron Age, 7000 to 1000 BC, include everything in the proto history. Prehistory, proto history and history. Prehistory, history before the invention of writing. Proto history, there are different definition of it. Very common definition is we have a script, we have not been able to decipher it yet in this Valley civilization. And then after proto history, everything is history. So prehistory, proto history, history. So there is a transition. This Chalcolithic culture comes under the proto history part. When we talk about the definition from 7000 to 1000 BCE, if you're not understanding what I'm saying, go back to lecture 1. Criticism and limitation, whatever we are knowing from the pottery, whatever evidence is paddy husk, etc., fish, wine, this is not enough. This is not telling us a lot. We need to decipher IVC, the contemporary IVC culture. Maybe then we'll be able to know more about Indus Valley civilization. Fine. So these are all points which you have to discuss here, and via this what you are understanding. This question will give you the clarity that you have to write an intro. It was called Chalcolithic culture because they were using copper. We have just seen the mnemonic, the chronology of metals. Can you people write in the comment section or in the chat section what was the chronology of metals, so that I can take a breather? Because I speak a lot, I shout a lot. Sometimes I get scared by my own voice. What was the chronology of metals? Write it in the I have not seen any, or maybe there is a time lag. Yeah, we have just discussed it. Anyone? Lecture 1 name is Sources and Stone Age. So the mnemonic was CBI, copper, bronze, iron. Fine. Let's move on. So again, there is an intro here. We are not here to read from like for history optional or mains perspective. I have taken this history optional question to give you a conceptual clarity. Then the change in subsistence pattern, transition from parasitic to sedentary lifestyle. We have talked about it yesterday when we have talked about how Gordon Childe said that Neolithic period was a revolution. Then pottery, wheel made, handmade, inverted firing technique we have just discussed. Black and red ware was made from inverted firing technique. Then we have discussed that if they are having like big storage jar indicate that they are storing food grains. Perforated jars we have seen, they are making wine. Narrow neck means they are storing water. So all these things we are deducing. In Amgaon, pottery has been found at different sites. That means some amount of trade was going on. This is a barter system. In the previous lecture, when we were talking about sources, we have talked about the barter system was the initial or the, the first level at which the currency system gained traction, and then we moved on and on. Charge food grains, etc. Fishery on the pottery shows they knew about fishes or they ate fishes. Again, we have discussed all these things, so I'm skipping it. You can have a look at these slides. So transition from pre to proto history, this is the second part of the question where we'll talk about that Chalcolithic culture lies between 7000 to 1000 BCE, and this time period is taken, and it has been taken to include everything, like everything under 7000 to 1000 BCE is under proto history. That's what you have to understand. Pradeep has written the answer. Sir, आप इतनी English कहाँ से सीखा है? That though I also don't know. That happens when you keep on speaking, Priya. Thank you for that. I don't know whether it is a compliment or what, sarcasm, but I think I will take it as a compliment. So yes, so these are different meanings of proto history. We have discussed about it in the previous lecture, lecture 1. You can have a look at it. So again, what is the criticism? Whenever you are getting any question related to critically analyze in mains or in history optional, you have to do the criticism part, and that's what they are saying, that we cannot know enough from pottery. We have to have other sources, and that other source in this case is the contemporary IVC script, and that's why we need to decipher that script. Let's go on, bro. Let's focus. And again, black and red ware, BOP and mnemonic, we have talked about it. We have talked about it multiple times. Once this whole crash course is done, let's say the 100 days thing is done, you will hear so many, like certain things so many times that you won't be able to forget it. Like you will be remembering it. That will be etched in your mind. Okay, so I'm just skipping it because we have discussed it. These images are included so that you can remember it. It's, you know, the more images you see, the more or the better you will be able to like retain it in your mind. So northern black polished ware, I have told you, somewhere it is written 600 BC to 100 AD, somewhere it is written 700 to 200 BC. That you don't have to mug up. The only thing which you have to remember is BOPN, that is a mnemonic. Black and red ware, orchard colored pottery, and then painted grey ware, northern black polished ware. Now let's come back to, or let's come to Indus Valley Civilization. That's all you need to remember in Indus Valley Civilization, means Chalcolithic culture. You have to just pay attention to the Chalcolithic sites. We'll solve some PYQs. The major part is the pottery part. That is very important when we are talking about Chalcolithic culture, and then solve as many questions as possible. Again, in the previous lecture also, lecture 1 also, I have told you that sources in Stone Age, do you need to read it from any other source? No, you just have to follow whatever we have discussed. Then what else you have to do? You have to solve mocks, and if you are getting any additional information from there, you just supplement it with this particular notes. That's it. So Indus Valley Civilization, and they have, like, generally what happens when we talk about Indus Valley Civilization, we confine ourselves to 2600 to 1900 BC. But this is not the full story when we talk about Indus Valley Civilization. This is just a half picture, or even not a half picture, 1/3 picture. You cannot have urban culture all of a sudden. First of all, let me tell you something about Indus Valley Civilization, something very interesting about Indus Valley Civilization. So generally what happens in most of the books, you will read about the decline of Indus Valley Civilization. Oh my God, Indus Valley Civilization, Aryan invasion happened, or reverse changes course, or ecological degradation happened. So there are multiple books which talks about decline of IVC. There are multiple books, multiple sources which talks about characteristics of IVC. Oh my God, roads were cutting at right angle triangle, or they were worshipping trees and stone, which is known as animism, worship of trees, stones, etc. There is a phallic worship, there is Proto-Shiva, there is Pasupati. Multiple sources talks about it, but very few sources I have seen, in my personal opinion, which talks about origin of IVC. From where these people came. Were they aliens? If they were aliens, from which particular galaxy they came? So origin of Indus Valley Civilization is a relatively untouched area, which not many books cover, not many faculties talk about it. I think they should. You should understand the starting, then only we can decline, etc. is fine. But first of all, we have to understand from where they came. So what do you know about the origin of IVC? Do you have any idea about the origin of IVC? If you have, you can like post it in the comment section. What do you know about, like, from where they came? Were they incarnation of gods? Whatever it is, just write it in the comment section if you have any idea about from where these IVC people came. I'm just following your chat. Fine. So let me tell you, or let me take 10 more seconds. Let me wait for 10 more seconds. Okay, so let's continue. So Indus Valley Civilization origin theory. There are 3 theories related to from where these people came. First theory is theory of Sumerian origin. Theory of Sumerian origin. So what does this theory says? Theory of Sumerian origin, that there was a civilization, northwestern side, sir, from Persian region. So Darshana has said that these Indus Valley people, IVC people, they came from northwestern side. Good try, Darshana. It's very like you are on the right track. What you are saying is correct. So there are three theories, somewhat correct. So there are three theories. First theory is Sumerian origin. Second theory is Aryan origin. Third theory is theory of gradual evolution. Again, I will write this and let's have a discussion. Let's make it like theory of gradual evolution. So these are three theories. Sumerian origin, Aryan origin, theory of gradual evolution. What do you think is the most appropriate part? Like which theory you believe in? You have no idea. I generally whenever I teach, I believe you know nothing and I have to teach you from scratch. That is my understanding and that's how I teach people. And that has worked up until now. So Sumerian origin, Aryan origin, theory of gradual evolution. Which theory, 1, 2, 3, you will pick? If you have to pick one, which one will you pick? Which one seems the most plausible to you? Guess it from the name and try to deduce it, because you have to do educated guess in exam also. This is prelims crash course, educated guess, smart guess, all these things you have to do, right? So let's start it from here only. Let's take an educated guess. Bro, it's guess only. Even gradual evolution, Pradeep is saying. Priya is saying Indo-Greek invasion. But Indo-Greek invasion is not here. That is not even in the option. You have taken fourth option. That is also awesome, Priya. So let's come back. So let's talk about all of these origin theory one by one. We already know a lot about IVC. There is no dearth of information on IVC. So from that particular information, we'll try to take out the information which is very important from pre-perspective. Then we'll solve some PYQs. Then we'll solve some practice questions. I have told you people in the previous lecture, that is lecture 1, that please post your marks. How many questions you are getting correct? Post your marks in the comment section. You people have posted something like, sir, please don't end this prelims crash course. Please continue it, or thumbs up and everything. That is fine. But post your marks. That is the most important part. I love it that when you're saying that don't end it and thumbs up and everything. That is very morale boosting. But please post your marks. That is for your own good. That will keep you on track. Watch all these lectures. Solve all these questions. Don't pause me when you are like solving the question and see how many you are getting correct. So Sumerian origin is, let me show you a map. Via this I will make you understand and then we'll come back to all these things. So first of all, let's talk about the theories. Origin theory, this is important. So first theory, theory of sudden origin, Mesopotamian origin or Sumerian origin. So this is Indus Valley civilization, the one which is little bit brownish. Fine. Now see here, Sumer. This is a region called Sumer, which is in current day like Iraq. And then there is a region called Dilmun, which is the current day Bahrain. Indus Valley civilization people, they used to trade in these areas. Then there is Magan, which is current day Oman. How you will remember it? Dil. Dil means heart. Dak dak karne laga, like there was a song in our days that my heart is beating so fast. When you do a English translation of Hindi songs, it sounds so funny. So yes, so Dilmun, Dil, D. What is closer to D? B. So Dilmun, Bahrain. Magan, M. What is closer to M? O. So Magan is Oman. So that's how you can remember stuff. Dilmun, Bahrain and Magan is Oman. So the first theory, which is theory of sudden origin, Mesopotamian origin or Sumerian origin. What they say is, this Sumerian people, Iraqian people, it is said that urban civilization happened in this particular area in around 4000 BC. This particular Sumer area, they had urban cities in simple terms in around or at around 4000 BC. Urbanization happened in IVC at around or started around 2600 BC. So the first theory says that these Sumerian people, they went to Indus Valley civilization and they settled there. And that's how Indus Valley civilization started. This is the first theory. Now, this particular theory has been discarded. Why this particular theory has been discarded? Because there is too much difference between Sumerian civilization and Indus Valley civilization, whom, according to many experts, they used to call Indus Valley civilization as Meluha. You can see it here. If you cannot see it, you can maximize the content which you will get later on and you will see it, Meluha. So, this theory has been discarded. There is too many dissimilarities. Sumerian civilization, very haphazard civilization, urban civilizations. Roads are not that like In our case, we have drainage system. In Dholavira, you have even rainwater harvesting system. You have dams, etc. Our Indus Valley civilization was the best. I'm the best. So Indus Valley civilization was the best. But this civilization, even though it was urban civilization, it was very haphazard in nature. They had certain features related to temples which were present there. We do not find temple evidences in our Indian subcontinent. The earliest evidence you find it in Gupta period, which is known as Panchayatan style. So there are too many dissimilarities, because of which we discarded this particular theory. This theory has been discarded. Theory 1. Let's go back, bro. The second theory was, we'll come back to these slides. Many of the things you already know. My purpose is to make you richer in knowledge and tell you whatever you already know, what are the things which are important. Second theory is Aryan origin. So what does Aryan origin means? So Indus Valley civilization, we have seen their mature phase or their urban phases from 2600 to 1900 BC. Fine. So after they declined, 1500 to 600 BC is generally attributed to Vedic people, Vedic Aryans. This is Vedic period which comprised of Aryans. So second theory, which is Aryan origin, it says that these two people, they are same but different. No, they are not even same but different. They are actually the same people. So the second theory, I will just show you this. This theory has been discarded. The second theory, theory of Aryan origin. They say the people, the early Vedic people, these dates you can correct it. The early Vedic people and these Indus Valley people, they are the same. They settled in the same area, bro. They were around the Sapt Sindhu river. Oh my God. Sapt Sindhu river is, Sapt means 7. Sapt means 7. So Indus, the current day Indus, plus 5 tributaries of Indus, plus Ghaggar Hakra river, which is known as Saraswati river. Ghaggar Hakra. Oh my God. See, I have to do a little bit of overacting so that you can understand it. So please bear with my overacting. So Sapt Sindhu Indus plus 5 tributaries plus Ghaggar Hakra. That is Sapt Sindhu river. So one major logic, many of the historians who proposed this Aryan origin theory of Indus Valley civilization, that Aryan people are the Indus Valley people. They are the same but different. No, they are the same people. This theory is also discarded. Why it is discarded? Because these early Aryan people, the early Vedic people, these people were living in a rural civilization. This was an urban civilization. Their main activity in early Vedic period was revolving around pastoralism. Agriculture happened, but pastoralism was the main activity. Here, the major activity was trade, and they were not only trade with, let's say, Chalcolithic people, they were trading with Dilman, Magan and so many months and everything, you know. So you can understand what I'm saying here, Sumer and everything. So there is again too many differences. Theory 2 has been discarded. Now third theory, theory of gradual evolution. From this is the most accepted theory. And what does this theory means? Theory of gradual evolution. Let's go back a little. In the last lecture, we have talked about something that here, Nosado, I told you, in today's lecture, I said Nevasa, I wanted to say Nosado. So below, very close to Nosado, you have Mehergarh. Around 15-16 kilometers away from Nosado, you have Mehergarh. In the last lecture, why I keep on saying about Mehergarh, so that you remember it. Direct question can be asked on Mehergarh. So what we have talked about Mehergarh, 6000, 7000 BC, earliest evidence of cotton and wheat cultivation in Indian subcontinent. So they were cultivating around this area. Okay. See, this particular area is somewhat far from the Sapt Sindhu river. So they did the cultivation part. Slowly this land became arid because maybe they have overexploited it. So slowly and gradually they started moving towards Sapt Sindhu river. Oh my God. So they are moving towards river, because we know now, even if you have read a little bit about fluvial landforms, fluvial means landforms created by rivers. Remember this term, they can even ask you this directly. Like fluvial landforms are landforms created by glaciers, this and that. So fluvial landforms are landforms created by river. So when we talk about fluvial landforms, we know the area which is around these rivers, or those soils are very fertile, alluvial soil, etc. So they started moving towards Sapt Sindhu river. Since this area had water, the soil was comparatively more fertile. That led to surplus production. Oh my God. And again, in the previous lecture, we have discussed this, that surplus production is the most important prerequisite when we are talking about urbanization. If we do not have food in our stomach, we cannot think about non-agricultural activity, and non-agricultural activity is the backbone of urban centers. I am not doing kheti here. You are not doing kheti right now or agriculture right now. You are studying, I am teaching. So again, all these non-agricultural activities can only happen when we have surplus production. So this surplus production happened, urbanization happened, and IVC happened. So this is the most accepted theory, and please remember these three theories. These are important theories. They can be asked anywhere and everywhere. Oh, just a second. Cool. So let's go back to what we were reading. So one thing which we have covered, like most of the people, they don't know about the origin from where IVC came. Now you have an idea about from where Indus Valley people came. Great. Now let's move on. Let's move on to the next part. So again, now these are the things which you know now. Like this is called Harappan civilization. Why it is called Harappan civilization? Because Harappa was the first site which was discovered. Cool. It is also known as Indus Saraswati civilization, Sindhu Saraswati civilization, Indus Valley civilization, because we have just discussed it has been discovered on or around the area of Sapt Sindhu river, Indus plus 5 tributaries plus Saraswati or Ghaggar Hakra river. Bronze civilization, we have seen the mnemonic copper, bronze, iron, and here it is written 3300 to 1300 BC. Generally when we talk about IVC, when you talk about IVC, you talk about 2600 to 1900 BC. That is the time period you cater to. But again, as we have just discussed theory of gradual evolution, Harappan civilization will not come out of nowhere. So there will be a period from 3300 to 2600 BCE, which is the early Harappan phase. This is the early Harappan phase, bro, where they are doing kheti, that means agriculture. And in this period, they will do agriculture. They were around Mehergarh area, and then slowly and gradually they are moving towards Sapt Sindhu river. When they will move towards Sapt Sindhu river, all these things are happening in the 700 years period, and then moving around Sapt Sindhu river was the best decision they could have taken in their life. It's like when you choose a good life partner, that is the best decision you could have taken in your life. So then urbanization happened because surplus production happened when they moved around. Just give me a second. When they moved around Sapt Sindhu river. So 2600 to 1900 BC, that is the mature Harappan phase, which is actually the IVC. And then from 1900 to 1300 BC, that is the late Harappan phase, which is the decline phase. Everything which has gone up has to come down. There are some exceptions like Shah Rukh Khan. He is up from last 30 years, but he has also seen downs. Zero movie. There were certain movies, nobody watched. So again, everybody, everything, every entity, if they are going up, they have to come down at certain point of time. But again, it will be their zeal which will determine whether they will go up again or they will remain down. So again, so up and down is happening. Late Harappan phase, the down phase, the decline phase. That's why they have written here 3300 to 1300 BC. Oh my God, let's move on, bros. So again, here we have talked about all the things that urban centers don't come out of a sudden. You will not crack or become an IAS officer all of a sudden. You have to work hard for it. IVC people, they worked hard to become an urban civilization or the first urban civilization of Indian subcontinent. So this was the time period when they were working hard. This was a time period when they were enjoying the fruits of their hard labor and they have become the urban civilization. Then maybe they have become negligent or arrogant or whatever, or maybe some superior force came, or maybe nature played its role and they decline in this late Harappan phase. Fine. Now again, this part is a little tricky part. If you had like history optional, generally they've asked like 20 sites, 50 marks in history optional. Well, they will give you some points that locate this point. What is this point? This is an early Harappan site, mature Harappan site. Now UPSC is making prelims tougher and tougher. So I don't think there is a day which is far when they will keep on asking that, which is an early Harappan site. This Mehergarh is an early Harappan site. Nausado is a mature Harappan site. Mehergarh was a village. Nausado, which was 16 kilometers away from there, it was a town. So please remember these: Kot Diji, Amri, the location of it. Kalibangan, it will be a mature Harappan site also. It is said that Kalibangan is in Rajasthan. Kalibangan, black bangles. And it was a transition zone between sites which were in the western part and the sites which were in the eastern part. Like from here we are talking about between India and Pakistan, or the sites, IVC sites which are in India and Pakistan. It shows the feature of both. It's a very unique site. You have found fire altars here. This map is important. And this is early IVC map. The most important map for you people is the mature Harappan map. This map, mature Harappan map, you have to like look at it like you look at the pic of your girlfriend or boyfriend. Even more than that, actually. So like Lothal, very important. I can teach you the whole Harappan civilization via this map. So Lothal, it's a news. It's a news. And we have talked about it if you have followed me earlier. Just a second. I have told you that you don't need to worry about it. I've just told you we will have a discussion later on this. So it's generally 0 AD, 0 like BCE, and then later on they added 58 AD and something like that, and they came to that particular conclusion, AD, BC and CE. So don't worry too much about it. That won't impact your preparation to a certain extent. We'll talk about it when we are going to the post-modern period, because there we'll be dealing with 200 BCE to 300 AD. So don't worry too much about it. I've just told you, we have discussed this in the previous like 25 minutes back. So Lothal in news. Why Lothal is in news? Many of you who know me, you may know me because we have discussed, I think, in the intro part or your orientation session, we have discussed that Lothal is in news. Dholavira is UNESCO's 40th World Heritage Site. UNESCO, 40th World Heritage Site in India. So all these reasons make these sites very important. Already a PYQ has been asked on Dholavira. Fine. So the point is, why Lothal is in news? Any idea, anyone, why is Lothal in news? I am looking at the comments and everything. Lothal is in news because government is building a National Maritime Heritage Complex. Keep on National Maritime Heritage Complex here. They want to replicate the old Lothal because it was a port town. Okay, maritime, what happened to IM? Heritage Complex. Let me write it here. Fine. So National Maritime Heritage Complex, and what will be this complex? They will be replicating the old Lothal, which was a port town. So Lothal, you cannot forget, it is in news. Dholavira, you can never forget. You can forget your ex-girlfriend's name. Again, we will not go there. But you cannot forget Lothal and Dholavira. Please remember this. Then what else you shouldn't be forgetting? You should not be forgetting about Kalibangan. It's a transition site between eastern and western IVC sites. And again, where it is located on Ghaggar-Hakra river. We'll talk about some very important IVC sites. Manda, which is also known as Akhnur. It's very important. Then see here, Sortughai. It's in Afghanistan. They went to Afghanistan, bro, which is known as graveyard of empires. Nobody stay in Afghanistan for long. Ask US. So they went to Afghanistan. These guys went to Afghanistan, graveyard of empires. They can even ask you this, which country is called as the graveyard of empires? Nobody sustains there for long. They are very like fiercely independent, the people who are there in Afghanistan. So Manda, Akhnur, then Chanu Dado. Wow. Now again, Dholavira, UNESCO's 40th World Heritage Site. Dholavira is also very important because generally when we talk about IVC from your childhood, you must have read about that IVC, they have a upper town, citadel, lower town. So most of these sites, they have upper town and lower town. But Dholavira, they have 3 parts. Oh my God. They have upper town, they have middle town, and they also have lower town. So middle part is very important. So 3 parts, this is unique. Anything which is unique becomes important. Then your Chanu Dado. Chanu Dado is in Pakistan. They do not have a citadel. Forget about the 3rd part. They don't even have the 2nd part. So no citadel. These are the features which make these sites very important. So that's how you remember when you keep on looking at it, just like you look at Shahid Kapoor in his current movie called Deva. The songs looks awesome. The trailer is also good. And the teaser was also awesome. So yes, pay more attention to these sites right now rather than Deva or Shahid Kapoor. Let's move on. So again, the late Harappan phase when the sites were declining. Again, pay attention. So see this. But for you, the most important part is the mature Harappan sites. You cannot forget these sites. Fine. Now here again, the same old, I use the word even in Hindi and English lecture, Bol Bachan. Bol Bachan means these are the things which most of the people know. That, oh my God, they were having such uniform features, standardized bricks, road cuttings at right angle triangle, proper drainage system, male and female worshipping, like we have seen dancing goddess and all these things. These are the common things which most of the people know. So that does not mean that you should not be knowing about it. You should be knowing about it because people make stupid mistakes. We do make stupid mistakes. I have done that. You must have done that, even though you may not accept it. So again, origin theory, we have discussed it. Keep on. I have like deliberately included the maps here, there and everywhere so that the more maps you see, the more you are able to remember the places where these sites are located. Also, pay attention to on which river they are located. Let's say if I talk about Harappa, where is Harappa? Here it is. Where it is located? Ravi River. So all these things are important. You have to remember the rivers also. So we have talked about the origin theory, and that's why I'm skipping these slides. The things which we have just discussed, will not discuss it again because time is money. Theory of gradual evolution, the most accepted theory. Again, standardized bricks. The more images you will see, the more closer you will get attached to these topics. So that's why I've included images. Brick wall. See how advanced they were, bro. These kind of brick walls, many people or many sites in India currently also don't use. So they were an advanced civilization, no doubt about it. Then the geographical extent, northwestern India, Afghanistan, Iran, they were they were here, there and everywhere. The most important part is you can have a look at this. They were larger than the contemporary civilization of Mesopotamia and Egypt. This part you have to remember. I will tell you the part where you have to focus a lot. Sutka Jindor, it is in Pakistan. Again, if you go back, pay attention to this site also. I will just tell you something interesting about it so that you can remember it. So this is Sutka Jindor. It's in Pakistan. Not everything in Pakistan is bad. You cannot stereotype anyone. Like you say, na, like I'm from Bihar and I have no shame in accepting that. So whenever I go to some place, like I went to Karol Bagh yesterday just to have a old memories or something. So there were some students who were like, sir, are you from Bihar? I'm like, yes. Sir, will you eat litti chokha? Not everyone who is from Bihar eat litti chokha, bro. I have like eaten very less amount of time like litti chokha, maybe because I have stayed in Bihar for very less time. But don't stereotype people. Similarly, don't stereotype places. It's not like all the places in Pakistan is bad. I'm not like glorifying Pakistan. Sutka Jindor is bad for habitation. It was a very inhospitable area. So there are various speculations that, bro, why these people were there in Sutka Jindor, which was such an inhospitable area. Then they realized, oh, trade, oh, port town. Because of these reasons, people or Harappan people were there. Trade was a very, very important component of like Harappan people. Lapis lazuli trade, it is said that maybe because of the decline in lapis lazuli trade, that also was one of the reasons why Indus Valley civilization declined. And again, there are so many theories related to it. How is early, mature and later Harappan phases decided? I have just told you. Early phase, that means they are doing agriculture, the agriculture part, and they have not yet gone into the trade part, or they have predominantly become urban. When they will become urban, most of the sites will become urban. That will be the mature phase, and the later part is when they are declining. Cool. So brick wall at total dating back to Harappan period. We have seen this. Let's go back. So again, have a look at these sites. The more you see it, the better you will become. Harappan civilization, the logic behind its vastness. This is similar to the previous lecture Neolithic slide which I have shown you. Here again, they will talk about the same thing, that initially people were doing agriculture, then the surplus production will happen, then people will get time to do non-agricultural activities. They will move to a common center which will be an urban area, and that's how urbanization will happen. So same thing is explained here. You can have a look at this slide. I will not read it. You can have a look at this. Fine. So town planning and structure. Again, a very interesting thing. Let's talk about what class 12th chapter 1 NCERT says. So new rationalized NCERT. I have done a series somewhere from class 6 to class 12, all chapters. We're doing it chapter wise. So class 12 chapter 1, if I'm not wrong, it is on Harappan civilization. It's a very fascinating chapter. You can go today and you can have a look at this chapter. I will just tell you the portion which you have to focus on. So there is a talk about administrative structure in Harappa, and you have to understand this, because if NCERT is saying something, you have to remember it, you have to know it. So what NCERT is saying here? So NCERT is talking about which kind of administration was there in Harappan civilization. First, administration we are talking about. This is a very important part from pre, mains, any perspective. Administration. First concept is there were no rulers in Harappa. Everybody was equal. Second concept is different areas had different rulers. Harappa had different ruler. Mohenjo-daro had different ruler. So different rulers. Second theory which NCERT gives, class 12th chapter 1 NCERT. Third is single ruler. So now again, people who are here, what is your view about this? What do you think about what is NCERT saying? So is it there are like no rulers in Harappa, there are different rulers in Harappa, different towns, or there is a single ruler? So Pradeep is saying that single administration. What other people are saying? Please say something. There is a song also, something, something, tell me something. So please say something. In the meantime, let me drink some water and I will see. You have to say something, it's not very tough. Just take your guess, whatever you think. So A is saying decentralization, Pradeep is saying single administration. Anything else you want to say? Fine. So no rulers. First theory, which again you can go to class 12 chapter 1, you will see what I'm saying. Around in that particular chapter, page number 12 or 13, you can have a look at it. So first is no rulers. No rulers. There were no rulers in Harappa. Everybody was equal, which you can also discard by seeing the upper town citadel. You have got an idea that, bro, there was a hierarchy. Fortunately or unfortunately, mostly unfortunately, there was a hierarchy. So no ruler. Second point is different rulers. Harappa may have different ruler, Mohenjo-daro may have different, Kalibangan may have different. Third is single ruler. Now what NCERT is saying? NCERT is saying this. Third one, single ruler. What NCERT is saying? They are saying that based on the amount of uniformity, if there were different rulers, so you would not have got that much amount of uniformity in road construction, drainage system or standardized bricks, weights and measures. They have seals and ceilings. They were so uniform that NCERT says there is a very high probability there was a single ruler. Let's say even if you have 5 brothers and you love them like you are one body and 5 souls, even then, or 5 body and 1 soul, even then if I give you different areas and you are converging on most of the matters, there will be some amount of non-uniformity, which was not there in Harappan civilization. They were more or less very uniform, and that's why class 12th new NCERT, rationalized NCERT, chapter 1 is saying that there is a very high probability of Harappa having a single ruler. So please understand this is very important from your exam perspective. They can ask you this and they can give you different logics. So you have to stand by what NCERT is saying. So here again they are saying the same thing. They have an upper town, lower town. We are focusing on the exception part. We have just seen Dholavira also has a middle town. Chanudaro, they do not even have a citadel. So pay attention to these parts. These parts you mostly know about it, whatever is written, and we have discussed it. So we have discussed about Dholavira. See the middle town part. They have a middle town, Dholavira, and they have a very unique water harvesting system, rainwater harvesting they used to do in that time, which currently also many people don't do. See, they were so advanced, bro. I love them. If given a chance, I will time travel to Harappa and see what they were doing there. The Mohenjo-daro movie of Hrithik Roshan is very like non-fact based, so you can ignore it. So Dholavira rainwater harvesting, dams they used to make. Middletown they have UNESCO's 40th World Heritage Site. So Dholavira is very important, very important. So again, town planning, they have grid system. In Kalibangan they have Wales also, and Wales you find it like in so many other places also. So much attention has been given. That is the thing which is written here. Great Bath. Now here the things which are important. You don't have to remember the length and breadth and height and everything of Great Bath. The most important part here is Great Bath was found where? Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro. There was a song also. Ladki Parvat ki yaro. That is not Mohenjo-daro. That is Mount Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro. So whatever floats your boat, whatever way you can remember it, just remember it. Fine. Great Bath, Mohenjo-daro. And that's how like it used to look. Great Bath, Mohenjo-daro. Dockyard, Lothal, Port Town. Now it is in news. We have discussed it like 1,000 times up until now in the last 2-3 lectures. National Maritime Heritage Complex. Government is making it. It's in news. You cannot forget it. National Maritime Heritage Complex. So remember it. Fine. Agricultural system, they have written that timber, they had vegetation, etc. Timber was used for baking bricks, and this is also one of the reasons given for decline, that they incessantly, like wherever brick making happens, even now, wherever brick making happens, that area is very Maritime Heritage Complex, very good. So wherever brick making happens, that area is very hot, and that hotness also contribute to it, means desertification and aridification, if that is the word. I will just give you an example. There is an organization called UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. And I will again give you a little bit more example. Here, history and environment are meeting. Rio Summit of 1992. It is also known as Agenda 21. This has been asked by UPSC earlier. Why it is called as Agenda 21? Are they discussing 21 agendas? That's why we are calling it Agenda 21? No. They are talking about agendas pertaining to 21st century. That's why it is called as Agenda 21. Rio Summit, if I am not wrong, it happened in 1992. Pardon my doctor-like English. So Rio, I'm no doctor, I was an engineer. So Rio Summit, 3 organizations came out of it. UNFCCC, History and Environment meeting. I will tell you why I am discussing all these things. UNFCCC, UNCBD, and then UNCCD. All these organizations are important. You have to keep a track on it, right? Whatever is happening in these 3 organizations, especially UNFCCC, very important. United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. UNCBD, United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity. And UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. Now, this is important. We are talking about desertification right now. One of the reasons is given, like of decline of IVC, is this also, that they were using so much incessant exploitation, brick making. All these contribute to aridification, desertification, and the civilization declined because surplus production was no longer the case, because you don't have surplus production in arid soil. You have surplus production predominantly in alluvial soil. So UNCCD is saying, they are giving an example, or they have given an example, like there are certain areas of Rajasthan which are very close to Agra. Agra is in UP, and wind erosion is happening, because of which, so like desert soil which is there in Rajasthan, some portion of Rajasthan, they are coming to Agra, and Agra is witnessing desertification. So if you don't take care of it, maybe someday Agra will also become a desert. So you have to take care of all these facts. So again, all these things are written here, different things have been discovered, read it. Burnt brick, you cannot do it, or brick construction cannot happen at all the places. It's not good for the environment. That was the basic gist. Different crops they used to cultivate. Whenever I'm teaching crops, I always tell people certain things which you have to remember. What do I tell? Climate, biodiversity, desertification. Very good, very good. So now, understand, whenever I am teaching this particular thing, I tell people certain things. What certain things I tell? I tell them Kharif crops and Rabi crops mnemonic. Please remember this, because UPSC, if I am not wrong, in 2004 they have asked which of the following are Kharif crops. 2013 they asked. In recent years also they keep on asking Kharif crop, Rabi crop. So you should know the mnemonic of Kharif crops and Rabi crops. So Kharif crops, the mnemonic is, here history and geography are merging. Kobama ki tijori. Kobama ki tujori. Pay attention to the capital letters here. Tujori. So cotton, these are all Kharif crops. Cotton, bajra. This is prelims crash course. So we have to do, I will do anything and everything to maximize your marks. Just follow me for the next 90 plus days, or even I think more than 100 days. So we have to complete all the things, and whatever are the most important areas, I will keep on telling you these. So cotton, bajra, maize, these are Kharif crops. This particular mnemonic will help you in eliminating options. Cotton, bajra, maize, tur, jowar, and then rice. Please remember this. This is a mnemonic for Kharif crops. You cannot forget it. In our Hindi, there is a saying, Nadi kinare saap hai, isko bhulna paap hai. If I translate it to English, you will find a snake alongside a river, and forgetting certain things is sin. It sounds so pathetic when I'm translating something, some phrases in Hindi to English, but hope you understood this. So Kharif crop, Kobama ki tujori, cotton, bajra, maize, tur, jowar, rice. Very good, Pradeep. So this is for Kharif crops. Please remember it for Rabi crops as well. There is a mnemonic for Rabi crop also. We'll come back to this slide. So what is the mnemonic for Rabi crops? Anybody who has studied from me earlier, they can tell me, or they can tell us what is the mnemonic for Rabi crops. Rabi crop is Vibagram. Vibagram. Pay attention to the capital letters. Vibagram. Just a second. Vibagram. So here, so here W is wheat, BA is barley, G is gram, RA is rapeseed, M is mustard. Please remember these. These are important. This will help you in eliminating questions which they generally ask Which of the following they have already asked? UPSC has asked it multiple times. Which of the following are Kharif crops? They have mainly revolved around Kharif crops. There is a very high probability that they will ask now Rabi crops. So remember these. Fine. Let's move on. So here they have given you wheat, barley, etc. When we'll go to the Vedic period, we'll see different terms. Yava, Vrihi, Godhuma. Which one is called as Yava? Barley, wheat, rice. Different names are given. We have to remember those names also. Because again, we have to see those areas. Because UPSC is again making questions tough. So we will deal with all those tough things. So again, Lothal grew rice. See, understand one thing. Again, let's come back to Mehergarh. Earliest evidence of agriculture in Indian subcontinent, wheat and cotton. So rice came very late. If somebody asks you, like, egg came first or chicken, you will say, get lost, I don't know. But if somebody asks you wheat came first or rice in Indian subcontinent, you will say this is a no-brainer. Wheat came first in Indian subcontinent. So cultivation of wheat happened first, cultivation of rice happened later. Please pay that in mind, means keep that in mind, that is important. So again, there are different things they're writing that barter system was happening, cereals were received as taxes, and these people produced cotton. Cotton has been like started in the Mehergarh. We have talked about wheat, cotton, all these things we have discussed. So just have a look at it. We have discussed all these things. Again, this particular domestication of animal slide, why I have given you have to remember all the things like cats were found, camels were found. No, you just pay attention here. We are not written horses. Based on whatever questions PYQs UPSC has asked earlier, they don't believe that horses were found in IVC. And I'm not lying, bro. You can see the PYQs, you can see the answer which UPSC has given, the official answers. They don't believe that horses were found. So you also don't have to believe that horses are found. Even if you feel like, bro, somewhere it is written horses are found. It's just like right to vote is a constitutional right or a legal right. Some year UPSC asked this question. Right to vote is a constitutional right or a legal right, or other options they have also given. There are enough evidences to prove it is a constitutional right. There are enough evidences to prove it's a legal right. There are enough evidences to prove it's both. But UPSC took constitutional right as the answer, and that was the answer. They are sarve sarva. Hope you understand. So they are like ubiquitous and omnipotent. It's not impotent, it's omnipotent. So yeah, hope you understood what I'm saying. So they don't believe, based on whatever questions UPSC has given and the PYQs, they don't believe horses were there in IVC. So you also have to believe that. Believe what they are believing. Again, trade here, where, in which areas they were trading, that is not important. These terms are very important. Dilman we have just discussed. Dil, man, di, closer to, B. So Dilman, Bahrain. Magan, M, closer to, O. So Oman. So please remember this. They can ask you. They can give you 1, 2, 3, Dilman, Magan, Sumer, and they will give you the new names and they will ask you to arrange it. And then they can ask you which of the following are correctly matched. So how many pairs are correctly matched? So you have to remember it like this. D is closer to B, Dilman, Bahrain. M is closer to O. So Magan is Oman. And we have seen this when we were talking about theory of Sumerian origin or Mesopotamian origin. Sumer is Iraq, Dilman is Bahrain, Magan is Oman, Meluha is supposed to be IVC. So this is the important part which you have to keep in mind. Again, trade and economy, they were KGF. Oh my god, so many people are like fan of KGF movie. I have not seen it. One of my friend, I visited his place. He started showing me that movie. In between, from like 1 hour has been passed. I did not understand anything. The background music was so loud in the room. I felt like I will get a heart attack or something. There's such high like background music. I did not understand it because I have not studied it from scratch. I cannot comment on the authenticity of the movie. Maybe it is awesome. But I watched the movie which was directed by the same director, which was named as Salar. I liked it. Even though the background music was still very high, but still I liked Salar. I like Prabhash. Prabhash is a good guy. So let's focus, bros. What we are discussing here is all these different metals and copper, kolar, gold fields. Exactly. You don't have to remember all these things. Just remember, gold was there. Sometimes they can ask you that they have no idea about gold. Most of the major metals, they have an idea, except iron. Iron was not there in this period. No iron, no iron, no iron. Iron around 1000, 1100, 1200 BC, iron, first evidence you find. This civilization ended around like 1900 BC, decline started 1800, 1900 BC. So you don't have iron here. That is the major purpose. Rest you can see here, lapis lazuli, this trade, that trade. Just remember, they did not know about iron. UPSC has asked questions directly that they had an idea about iron. Oh my god, they were taking bath with iron. No. That is a lie, big fat lie. Fine. Social organization, we have talked about this. Here, you don't have to pay attention to this. What I have told you, what class 12th, history NCRT, rationalize NCRT, part means chapter 1 says that there was a single power. They believe, the current NCRT believes that Harappa had a single power. So you have to believe the same. And again, no temples, no temples, no temples. And temple you will find, earliest evidence of temple you will find in the Gupta period. Earliest evidence of temple in Indian subcontinent, you will find it in the Gupta period. And that is known as Panchayatan style. The temple which you will find in Gupta period, that is known as Panchayatan style. Why it is called as Panchayatan style of temple? Because you have, where should I make it? Let me make my beautiful drawings. That's a sarcasm. So Panchayatan style, but still you will be able to understand it. So generally what happens? So let's say, this is one example of a Panchayatan style. So this is MS, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, no. This is SS, 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 SS. So this is main shrine. And these are subsidiary shrines. So generally what happens when you were like small, well, right now also we are small by mind only. I have realized one thing in my life, everybody wants to be treated like a child. Doesn't matter he's 80 years old or 30 years old or 10 years old. So we are all child by like heart. So, but again, hope you are understanding. So when we were very small, our mother or father used to take us to temples. So sometimes you may have seen that they're like, okay, let's first go to subsidiary shrines and then we'll go to the main shrine. So why it is called Panchayatan style? Because there are 5 gods. He is the main god who is there in the main shrine. And the other are supporting actors, with due respect to all of them. Cathenotism, we have talked about it. So these are subsidiary shrines. Not so important god. The most important god is there in the main shrine. So that is Panchayatan style. And this is the earliest evidence which you have found in the Indian subcontinent. That is in Gupta period. So no temple construction in IVC. Please keep that in mind. Rest all you can read. This is the most important part about this particular slide. And then they were, again, we have talked about no iron, no iron, no iron. That's what they are saying here. And then see all these images, see how brilliant these are. If I give these to my future wife, she'll be so happy. Okay. Again, the more you see, the more impressed you will become. Again, these are perforated jars. So if somebody asks you right now, what is the use of, most common use of perforated jars? What will you say? Please post it in the comment section. What is your view about it? What is the most common use of perforated jars? Sir, ki khobor? Pehchana apne. Khub bhalo, ami khub bhalo. Thank you for asking him, Ujjwal. So perforated jar was used for making wine. Again, this we have discussed multiple times. You should not be forgetting about it. Again, see more pottery, get more impressed by them. Seals and sealings. Now the question here is seals and sealings, pictographic script. What was the major use of these seals and sealings which we have seen on so many Harappan artifacts? Thanks a lot for English, sir. So yeah, seals and sealings. So the major use is, this is a key for identification. Generally they are saying that wherever they are sending some goods to other places, whenever let's say Miluha's goods, IVC goods are going to Dilman, Magan or Sumer or any other places, steatite seals. Very good, Pradeep. So these seals are identification. If it has been tempered with, that means the good is not, like the goods, whatever they have sent is not foolproof, or it has been like, no, you cannot trust this particular source because the seal has been tampered with. So this is a key for identification. You have to keep that in mind. They can ask you, what was the major purpose for seals and sealings? These are keys for identification. Beliefs, cultural practice, state can be understood, sir. Very good, yeah. It can be understood, but the major objective is, it is a key for identification. That's why they are using this seal and then they are sending the goods to different places. Then you have found this copper dog, different, again, you know, Great Bath, Mohenjo-daro, just like that. There are certain important excavations which you have to keep in mind. Copper dog, Lothal, bronze dancing girl. Now here, NCRT talks about something very interesting, which is known as present to past conundrum. Again, if you read class 12th, chapter 1 NCRT, present to past conundrum. So what is present to past conundrum? The basic meaning of present to past conundrum according to NCRT is, that we are interpreting the past things based on our current knowledge, what we know about current scenarios. We feel like this is a lady because in current scenario, anything which looks like this is a lady. So we are interpreting it's a lady, and again, we are interpreting as whatever bangles and all these things. So this is present to past conundrum. Sometimes we are seeing something which is like proto Shiva because we know about Shiva. So again, NCERT is saying that we have to be very careful when we are taking past stuffs and we are deducing things related to what we know in the present. There is a very high chance that we get all things wrong. And again, because of all these scenarios, because of all these confusion, what people says or what everybody agrees on, we have to decipher IVC script though, because otherwise we cannot know whether it is actually a bronze dancing girl and whether the things which we see, he is actually, a priest or not, or he was somebody else just because he has a trimmed beard like me. See how identical my and his beard is. So much more means like trimmed than me. So because of all these things, you cannot deduce him to be a priest because he looks like a priest or whatever. This is present to past conundrum. We are taking past things and we are deducing it based on what is our current knowledge, and that can go all wrong according to class 12 history NCERT chapter 1. Is old NCERT okay, sir? Very okay. You can follow it. There is no issue at all. I think old NCERT must be saying the same thing. They have not changed much. They have just trimmed some part of it. Okay, so again, see this is bearded man, and again present to past conundrum. Keep that in mind. If you want to know more about it, you can go to class 12 chapter 1. Horn male deity. Again here, this horn male deity, why it is important? Because if I'm not wrong, UPSC or some other exam, they have asked what are the animals which are surrounding this deity. So you have to remember these animals. There is no other way around it. You cannot go beyond. Like they can ask you that whatever, like this particular horn male deity was surrounded by horse or something. Horse, so we know UPSC does not accept horse in IVC, but elephant, tiger, rhinoceros and buffalo you have to remember. And some people say that this is God Pashupati. Proto Shiva, Pashupati Shiva, and again here also you can witness the present to past conundrum. So hope you are understanding what we are discussing here. Society, here pay attention to this word animism. We have talked about monotheism, we have talked about polytheism, we have talked about cathenotheism. So cathenotheism was monotheism, believe in one god, polytheism, believe in multiple gods. Cathenotheism, it's a form of polytheism in which different gods will become supreme at different times. Like in Diwali, your Lakshmi Mata will become supreme. In Durga Puja, Kali Mata will become supreme. So this is cathenotheism. Here you have a different word, animism, worship of trees, stones, etc. So please pay attention to these words. These are important words. And again, certain images you can have a look at that. This is again, looks like a tree. Animism, worship of trees, stones, etc. So they can ask you that Indus Valley civilization was a secular civilization. Yes, it is true. We are seeing worship of trees, we are seeing worship of stones, we are seeing something, worship of a male god, we are seeing dancing girl, worship of a female god. So again, all in all, it looks like they had a secular civilization. That's what they are saying here. You can have a look at this. Male god, linga worshipping. Again, there is a chance that this is a present to past conundrum scenario. What looks like a ling may be something else. What looks like a yoni may be something else according to NCERT. Evidence of fire worshipping. Fire worshipping, how do you associate? Like you must have seen this in Vedic period or in other civilization. Like sometimes in school you are sitting here, your crush is sitting somewhere there, and in between there is a Panditji and he is doing yagya, bolu swaha, and you are saying swaha. So all these things, fire worshipping, there are different ways of doing fire worshipping, and some kind of fire worshipping has been seen at fire altars. It is also said Kalibangan and Lothal. Kalibangan's fire worshipping fire altar is very, very, very famous. Panchbhutam, very good, Aryan, you are very, very intelligent. I like what you are saying. So Harappan scripts and weights and measures, seals, there are very few words, it's mostly pictographic. Somebody has asked why it has not yet been deciphered. This is one of the major reasons. Most of the scripts are generally alphabetical. It is not alphabetical. It's not very similar to other old scripts known to. Swaha and Aha is lit, yeah. So that is the reason why we are not able to, why we are not being able to decipher this particular script. But again, fingers crossed, maybe we will soon be able to, because $1 million is a very big money which has been announced by Tamil Nadu CM MK Stalin. So again, let's see what happens. Weights and measures, such standardized weights and measures, and that's why NCERT is saying that we have one single ruler in Harappa. not multiple rulers, not no rulers, and these are signboards and Dhalavira showing pictographic symbols. Seals and sealings, different gods, animism, secular civilization, decline theories. So again, there are different decline theories. When we'll talk about Vedic period tomorrow, we'll talk more about it because we'll talk about Vedic Harappan interaction. So you will understand why Aryan invasion theory was declined. But the most accepted theory is theory of gradual decline. Again, they must have exploited the resources to the hilt. Bricks construction also did not help matter much. Aridification, desertification must have happened. And because of this, surplus production went out of the picture because you need to have good soil to have surplus production among other factors. And because of all these things, deurbanization must have happened and then trade must have declined. That would have led to decline of Harappan civilization. That would have led to ruralization and that would have further led to formation of Vedic period or starting of Vedic period from 1500 BC. So all these things are written here, and again we can have a discussion about this in detail later on in mains also, because this is not very important from pre-perspective. We have an idea that Aryan invasion theory is discarded now. We'll have a more discussion on Aryan invasion theory and why it was declined, because this is related to Vedic period also when we are discussing in the next lecture, that is Vedic period. Fine. Just have a look at this. Theory of Aryan invasion, natural disaster, then shifting away of Indus. Indus may have changed this course, ecological overexploitation, too much brick industry and overexploitation of resources, climate change, blah, blah, blah. Decline in lapis lazuli trade. I have already told you, trade was a very important factor there and we have discussed this, that this was a very precious stone. Maybe the girls at that particular time, rather than gold or something, they liked lapis lazuli, or who knows, maybe even boys like to adorn themselves with ornaments. We can all only guess, but yeah, this decline is also attributed as a reason. Again, now important centers. Harappa, first site to be discovered, anything first, your first love, your first crush, your first this and first that, everything first is important. So Harappa was the first site to be excavated. Where it is located? On the bank of river Ravi. Ravi's old name is Parushni. So they can ask you, or they can give you that this particular Harappa is located on river Parushni. You will say, yes bro, Parushni is the old name of Ravi. Again, only place having the evidence of coffin burials. Coffin like you see in the Christian people, they have coffin burials. Similar kind of burials have been found in Harappa. Mohenjo-daro, where is it located? On the river Indus. Then you have skeletons which has been found in Mohenjo-daro. Great Bath, etc. We already know about it. Because of these so many skeletons have been found which gave rise to the theory of Aryan invasion, but again that has been discarded. Why? We'll talk about it in the next lecture. And again, large granary, human skeletons, town was flooded more than 7 times, and this is also cited as one of the reasons. Because of all these floodings, Mohenjo-daro declined as a major center, and when Mohenjo-daro declined, one theory also says that IVC civilization revolved a lot around Mohenjo-daro. When Mohenjo-daro declined, IVC declined. So there are multiple theories related to decline of IVC. One common point everywhere is ecological degradation. It cannot be ruled out. Then Kalibangan, Ghaggar, Saraswati, Ghaggar, Hakra river. Important, fire altars, fire worshipping. Bolu swaha, somebody will say aha. So fire altars, again Kalibangan. Remember this, we have also talked, this is a transition zone between Western Harappan settlements and Eastern Harappan settlement. So that's all Bol Bachchan is going on here. Fire altars, camel bones, and then black bangles, Kali. Ye Kali, Kali, Aankhein, you must have heard about it. The Hindi song, Shah Rukh Khan, Bazigar, cannot translate it. He's saying, this black eyes. So Kali is black, Bangan is like bangles. So plot field at early levels of. Now there is a very interesting theory here. Let me tell you something very interesting. Ravi's old name is Purushni or Parushni. Yeah. So single Harappan left, sir. Not even a single Harappan left, sir, after those disasters. Yes, they were. We don't. I'm gonna. Sir, just a second. Since IVC traded with a faraway region like Magan, is it possible they would have known this language too, and we might find evidence there? Yes, we have searched for it here, there and everywhere, but still we are not able to find it or decipher it. Single Harappan left, sir, after all this. Not a single Harappan. No, they must have merged. There is a theory also, that the Harappan people, they went to South India and they settled there, and the Dravidian culture which you find in South India right now, that Dravidian culture has been given by Harappan civilization. Fine. So plot field, again there is a very interesting theory here. When we will talk about second urbanization, you will hear that why second urbanization happened around 600 BCE, because around 1200 BCE or 1000 BCE iron was discovered, and during that time, the Gangetic Plain was filled with forest, and the Gangetic Plain area, which comprises UP, some portion of UP, Bihar, West Bengal, that is one of the most fertile area, not only in India, that is one of the most fertile areas of the world. So using these iron tools, those forests were cleared, surplus production happened, second urbanization happened in 6th century BC. So they are saying that iron was not discovered in Harappa. So how come they had surplus production and first urbanization? So the answer here is they must have used, let's say, wooden tools or copper tools to clear forest or to clear their lands. So that's how they must have plowed their field, and such plowed field has been found in means Kalibangan. So you have to remember these points. These are choti choti magar moti baatein, as they say, small but very significant things. Cool. Lothal, oh my god, Lothal is coming here, there and everywhere. National Maritime Heritage Complex, and it is located on the banks of Gulf of Cambay. I have already told you, the people who have studied from me earlier, they know whenever I talk about these terms, I talk about the basic gist behind these terms. Like you have Gulf here. So remember these terms, like there is Gulf and there is Bay. It's not like the slang bay, a bay or something like that. No, Gulf and Bay, they have the same meaning. They are water body mainly surrounded by land from three sides. Just remember this, you will hear a lot of Gulf and Bay. So what are Gulf and Bay? Water body mainly surrounded by land from three sides. Land from three sides. So what is the major difference here? Generally, Gulf is bigger than Bay. Bay of Bengal is an exception. Bay of Bengal is not the norm. Bay of Bengal is an exception. Generally, Gulf is greater than Bay. Please remember this. They have the same meaning. They can ask you Gulf, Bay, Strait, Isthmus. So you have to keep that in mind. Rice husk has been found here. And again, angles pointing to modern day compass. Just remember Dockyard, National Maritime Heritage Complex. That's why Lothal is in news. You cannot forget it. It's in Gujarat. Chanhu Dado, we have discussed it. See here, where is Chanhu Dado? It's in Pakistan. Many people feel like it's in Gujarat. It's not in Gujarat. It's in Pakistan. It has no citadel. Dholavira has middle town. So all these points are important points which you have to keep in mind. Footprints of dog chasing a cat. This is not important. Dog will always chase a cat. It's not going to chase a lion. Sometimes dog do. So again, this point you can forget, this point you cannot. Those are two brave dogs. Sutka Jindor, it's in a very remote corner of Pakistan, very remote, very inhospitable area. But now scholars have deduced that it must have been used for trade purposes. That's why people went here, there and everywhere. Its location in inhospitable area can only be explained by the need for seaport for trading. So remember the places because they can ask you these places. Fine. So these are some important sites, some important information about them. Have a look at it and try to remember as much as possible. I have already told you the important parts or important sites and their features. Now let's talk about some PYQs and practice questions. I keep on telling you people that, and I will keep on telling it. I'm very shameless in that regard. Lipstick is found in Chanhu Dado. Oh my God, Anvesha. Such fascinating information this is actually true. So something akin to a lipstick. So again, see, some PYQs will be there, some practice questions will be there, and please sir and ma'am, post whatever you are getting in your comment, like in the comment section, post your marks, how much you're getting correct, make it a habit. This will help you in the long run. So what do you think is the answer of this question? Anybody? You can post it in the comment section and then we'll move further. Sirs, okay. Very good, yaar. Very good, eh? So what do you think is the answer of this question? IVC was predominantly a secular civilization, blah, blah, blah. During the period, cotton was used for manufacturing textiles in India. Pradeep has given the answer and that is a correct answer. The answer is C. Whenever you are solving these questions, let's say you're watching this video after this live streaming is done, even then you can pause me when you are solving a particular question. So answer is C, and that's what they're saying. Cotton, they were knowing it, and animism, worship of trees, stones, etc. they used to do. Second PYQ asked in 2013. Have a look at it, and whoever is answering it the first, I will then move on. So when you are answering, one to do it like this and just answer this question. What do you think is the answer? Okay, A has given the answer and that is the correct answer. There was no temples in IVC. Earliest evidence of temple construction in Gupta period. That was known as Panchayatan style. So obviously use option elimination. This is smart study. Option elimination works a lot. Even though many people were like, sir, now they're asking only 2 options correct, only 3 options correct. That happened. But it was not like in 2024 also they asked so many of those questions, right? So that happened once. Even then option elimination will help you more or less. We'll talk about that. We'll see some questions similar to that. So the answer is B2 only. They worship both male and female deities. And even here you can see UPSC does not like horse in IVC. So they are discarding the third option. Answer is B. Let's move on. Again, same explanation and everything. Let's come to 2019 question. Solve this question. Many people, when they saw this 2019 question, they were of the belief that, oh my God, now I have to study like world history for UPSC prelims. You don't have to. You don't have to study world history for prelims. What do you think is the answer of this question? Oh, just a second here. Fine. See, they are asking which one of the following groups of plants was domesticated in the New World and introduced in the Old World. New World is Americas, North America and South America. Old World is Asia, Africa and Europe. They are known as Old World. Why it is known as New World, Americas, North America and South America? Because they were discovered late. They were always there. And the indigenous people who were there, or the native people of those areas, they don't like them being called New World. Okay, let's not go there. We'll talk about it in world history. So here, how you can eliminate it? Again, Mehergarh, earliest evidence of cotton and wheat cultivation in Indian subcontinent. Cotton and wheat was already there in the old world from 6000, 7000 BC. So eliminate all options which has cotton or wheat. So if you eliminate like this, you will eliminate B, C and D and you'll be left with A, that is tobacco, cocoa and rubber. Very good. Very good. Many people answered it. Darshana, Padmanabhan, Pradeep, many people answered it. And again, they have written the same. See this question asked in 2021. What is the answer? And instead of writing A, B, C, write A and then your answer also, because I now don't know which A you are talking about. There is a time lag which happens. I have a screen in front of me. I can see you typing certain things. But since there is a time lag, so you have to you can write A and then you can write the option so that I can understand this is the question you're talking about. Wow. Anvesha has given the answer. We have talked about it multiple times. Dholavira should be in your heart by now. You should be like loving it like anything. Dholavira, UNESCO's 40th World Heritage Site. It has 3 parts. Middletown is also there. And we have talked about they have rainwater harvesting system. They have dams and everything. They were so cool, bro. So Dholavira is the answer. As like many people have said, Manisha and others. Very good, yeah. Cool. Practice questions. Now let's solve some practice questions. What is the answer of this particular question? Which among the following is the earliest form of pottery in Indian subcontinent? Earliest form of pottery. Fast. Dholavira is in my heart. Dhola. Very good, yeah. Very good. It should be in your heart. So then there was a mnemonic. Again, A will not suffice. Write it. Like BOPN we have seen. Black and red were ochre colored. BOPN. Painted grey ware, northern black polished ware. So the answer is A, black and red ware. Again, we have discussed this. Revise it. Solve this question. People hate these kind of questions. How many pairs are correctly matched? So the things which you hate a lot, you should practice it a lot, so that you don't hate it in the exam scenario, actual exam scenario. So site associated with Dilman, Magan, Sumer, Oman, Bahrain, Iraq. Only one. So Dilman, Dilman. So D closer to B, Bahrain, Magan, Oman. So these two are wrongly matched. Sumer is Iraq. So the answer is A, only one. So again, they are talking about the trade part. We have solved this and you can see the map. We have done the brainstorming part also, what is present to past conundrum, and we have also talked about the linkage between administrative authority and decline of IVC, and they are saying that there was a single ruler, one ruler, and then when that particular ruler, something happened to him or something happened to that kingdom, decline of IVC happened. That's what class 12th NCERT, class 12th new rationalized NCERT chapter 1 is saying. So you can go and you can have a look at what I just said. So that's it, bros and girls. I will see you people tomorrow at 7 p.m. and we'll talk about Vedic period. We'll solve some more questions. I will again request you, whatever questions you have got correct, you can post it in the comment section that you have got 7 out of 8 or whatever number of questions was there, 6 out of 7. Post it, and that should become your habit now. And the more you do it, the better you will become in solving these kind of questions. So Okay. So was this like, were you able to see, sir, I could answer all these because of your classes you do free for UT. Okay. Thank you, Anvesha. Thank you everyone. Bye-bye, see you tomorrow. Will you complete? Yeah, I will, daily, yeah. Daily 7 p.m. we will meet. All are correct, Pradeep. Very good, yeah. And I will complete entire history and then I will complete other topics also, other chapters also, the most important parts of polity, economy, environment, whatever I feel like there's a very high probability of them coming, we'll do that also. Same time, 7 p.m. I'll meet you every day. Thank you everyone.